Morning, welcome to Camperlands. It's another cold morning, so we're coming to the workshop. This is just a quick video to show you how to check your lights on your trailer or your trailer tent. It's something that we do here every time a trailer leaves the site, so everything gets checked fully before it does leave, and something you should be doing yourself on your own trailer every time you go to take it to a campsite or just even just to the tip, something like that. And then the first thing to do is a visual check of the trailer. We're going to be checking the plug, the cables, reflectors if there are any fitted, and the rear light lenses for any damage. So starting with the plug, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to check the plug itself. If the outer casing is not damaged in any way, that the pins are nice and bright, there's no broken pins, or if it's, make sure it's not rusty. If it's rusty, it can also cause problems. If there is a problem with the plug, the best sort of advice we can give really is possibly it's very quick and easy to replace it, and there is a separate video on our website showing you how to do this. The next step will be, we've got the cable, we're just going to check the cable to make sure there's no damage to the outer sheath. You can do that by running your hands up and down and feeling, and then obviously having a look and making sure there's no exposed wires. And again, there's no actual damage, it's just little nicks and bits and pieces. If there is, again, you probably will need to replace the cable. This may not be something you want to do yourself. However, if you do, you can buy the cable from most trailer outlets. The next step is to walk all around the trailer. What you're doing is you're checking the reflectors and the rear lenses for any signs of damage or for cracking. I've already checked these and found that this one here has got a large crack and a piece missing out of it, so I'll need to replace that with a new one later. However, I'm going to hold off fitting it, as for the next step when we're checking the bulbs, we may find we need to remove the lens to replace the bulb anyway, so we'll check the bulbs now, make sure they're all working okay, replace any that we may need to, and then fit the lens at the end. We're now going to check each light in turn. To do this at home yourself, you'll probably need two people. One person sat in the car, so once you've connected the trailer to the car, one person at the back, and they'll be able to go through the lights in sequence and make sure that they're all working correctly. Because we're working in the workshop, we've got a dedicated rig. I can sit in the back and do it myself. Makes it a little bit easier for us to work. What we do, sequence is exactly the same. We're going to check things like the lights going through from the indicators. So by going through, and all I'm doing is watching and making sure that they all come on as they should, and if any don't, such as this one here, we'll keep a note of that and we'll go back and have a look at that later. And then finally the fogs, and again, offside fog light isn't working. This will now mean that we need to remove the lenses. Once the lenses are removed, we'll be able to look at the state of the bulbs, check they're all present and okay, and make sure that the actual housings are not rusty and are working correctly as well. Having found that the fog light wasn't working on this side when we were doing our checks earlier, it's now a matter of having to remove the lens itself, the cover, and that'll let us have a look at the bulbs and the clips, the fittings, etc. Now these can be held on by various different methods. Some are clips, some are screws. In this case it was just two small Phillips screws which I've removed. Taking the lenses off, and that lets us now have a good look inside to see what the problem was with the fog light. Having removed the lens, this lets us have a better look at what's happening inside of the bulbs and the fittings and the cables. We can see straight away that the fog light bulb is missing off this side, and that's more than likely the cause of the problem on this side of the trailer. But we also want to be checking the cables aren't sort of trapped or kinked, that the fittings are okay, and that the actual plate itself isn't too rusty. This is just a good check to do whilst you've got the lens off. So to hand I have a bulb, I will replace it. Give that a twist and make sure it's home. And what we're going to do now is, using the vehicle, you would then double check to make sure that that's okay, which it is. So that's cured the fault. Now knowing that everything else inside is okay, we are going to leave putting the lens on right till the very end. We want to make sure we've got all the lights working on the trailer first, and we can fit both lenses at the same time. We're now on to the other side. We know it was the side light that wasn't working on this side, which is this bulb here. So first thing I'm going to do, same as on the other side, I'm just going to check that the cabling's okay and that the bulb's seated okay. But then a quick check could be, get the car again, recheck to make sure if it's working. If it isn't, what I'm going to do is remove the bulb. I'm now going to check the bulb. This one is a little bit corroded, so I'm going to fit it, give it a little bit of a clean up to this wire one. And what I will do, once I've done that, make sure it's seated correctly, is recheck, and in this case it's managed to make it work. If you have done that and it doesn't do that, the chances are the bulb itself is blown, and in that case you need to buy a new one, fit it, recheck it. Once it's working okay, we're going to replace the lenses, and obviously at this time we will put the new one back on when we found the broken one earlier. Right, we've now refitted the lenses, we've replaced the broken one that we found earlier, and the last thing to do is recheck the lights before you go anywhere. So what I'm going to do, using my test rig, obviously you would be using the car, is just go through again to make sure my indicators, the side lights, the one I was missing earlier, is now on, the brakes are working correctly. Now we've refitted the lenses, we've replaced the broken one that we found earlier. It's now time for a final check, making sure all the lights are working before you tow your trailer tent anywhere. So just going back through using my rig, I'm just going to make sure that the indicators are working. Maybe running lights, especially the one that wasn't working earlier, is now okay. Both my brakes, back to the fog lights. So I've now got a full set, which means legally I can now tow the trailer. Thank you for watching. This is part of a series of films being produced by Caravan, showing you how to maintain and repair your trailer tent. If you do feel confident now to be able to take on the task, any parts or spares you may need are available for purchase from our shop, or if you prefer, we can do that for you in our workshop, and our contact details for the workshop will be found on the webpage, as well as the rest of the films within the series.